This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, July 23rd, 1989, one of the best Tour de France's of all time happened. It was a battle royale between Greg LeMond and Laurent Fignon. And it was huge and all that. Of course, talking about the Tour de France has a sour taste in my mouth because of the Lance Armstrong saga. But anyway, the 1989 Tour de France was huge and all that. It actually started in Luxembourg, that famous country, and then went to France. Greg LeMond actually won the 1986 Tour de France. But unfortunately, he had a near-fatal hunting accident, which almost ruined his life, never mind his cycling career. The defending champion from Spain, Pedro Delgado, and the Frenchman Laurent Fignon, who was the two-time champion, had a battle and all that. Delgado actually made a giant boo-boo when he actually missed the start time in the individual time trial in the prologue, meaning before the first stage. So he lost 3 minutes, and that was huge. It was a battle between LeMond and Fignon, who would trade off the yellow jersey several times. LeMond would actually take advantage of new handlebars on his bike, aerodynamic elbow rest handlebars used in triathlon events, but he would use that to take down Fignon. Fignon did well in other events, but the time trials was where LeMond had his powerful stuff and all that. Fignon was known for his mountain racing because you got to go through the mountains and all that, big climbs and all that. It was a huge one and all that. So, of course, the final thing happened. Anyway, so there were lots of cyclists and all that. Pedro Delgado was the race. I mean, he was the defending champion after all. And he won the Vuelta a España in 1989. And of course, Laurent Fignon, the 83-84 champion and Frenchman, well, he knew he had everything going on that. He won the Giro d'Italia, which is the big race before the French Open. I mean, well, you know what I mean, the Tour de France. So anyway, there were a lot of racers and all that. LeMond's name was not really mentioned in previous favorites. I mean, after all, there was a hunting accident when he was accidentally shot by his brother-in-law, and 60 pellets hit his body. He had emergency surgery and actually did all that. LeMond needed sponsorship to get the entry into the Tour. So yeah. So the first 3 plus 2.5 stages would be in Luxembourg, then went to Spa in Belgium, then stage 4 would be from Liège to Westgrehel. Going through many cities and all that to the Champs-Élysées from Versailles. So it was just huge in the finale. Well, down to the final day on July 23rd, 1989. Fignon had a 50-second lead, which was basically almost all but over and all that. So, unfortunately, Fignon actually had saddle sores, which gave him pain and made it impossible to sleep. But he knew he had a 50-second advantage on LeMond. LeMond decided to go with the aerodynamic handlebars, the teardrop helmet, and a rear disc wheel, which was kind of weird. You would see the disc wheels in the indoor cycling events. Unfortunately, Fignon actually He used two disc wheels, but ordinary handlebars, and was bareheaded, meaning that if he took a tumble, that would have been disastrous. Anyway, Vigneault had the half-distance time check, but Le Mans took 21 seconds out. But Vigneault still had 29 seconds to play with. But Le Mans got it. He had the time trial with 26 minutes, 57 seconds, which was actually the fastest ever time trial in the history of the tour. He did it at a speed of 54 kilometers per hour, or 33 miles per hour, if you will. Le Mans collapsed on the floor from exhaustion. Vigneault made his way there, getting in 27 minutes, 55 seconds. He did good for the time trial. Unfortunately, though, Le Mans, for some strange reason, beat him by 58 seconds, which meant that Le Mans had the deficit of 50 seconds, but he made it up for it with a 58-second win time trial, meaning he won by 8 seconds, one of the closest Tour de France's in history. And there were articles saying that those new aerodynamic handlebars were what got him in. It's still the smallest winning margin in Tour de France history, the 1989 one. So anyway, anyway, 138 of the 198 racers at the start actually finished it and all that. The funny thing is that Greg LeMond actually said about Vigneault, he says, can you believe he's looked at as a failure rather than the winner that he actually is? It's like, wow. Sportsmanship, baby. It was huge and all that. LeMond came back from that big time deficit. He won his second ever Tour de France, and he came back from a near fatal hunting accident. A lot of people said it was one of the best of all time. I mean, it was 8 freaking seconds. Can you believe it? Well, anyway, LeMond was named Sports Person of the Year by Sports Illustrated for that thing. Anyway, it was just amazing and all that. He actually wasn't paid by his racing team, ADR, so he would sign with Sed Tomaso. He actually would win the Tour de France in 1990, which was amazing and all that. Unfortunately, Vigneault did not really do so well and fell flat. So that was all that happened. Every doping test was negative. Guess you could wish you could say that for the races in the late 90s, early 2000s with Lance Armstrong, but no. So yeah, 8 seconds is a hell of a time. I mean, Vigneault almost had it in the bag, but LeMond uses aerodynamic handlebars and his helmet to his advantage. Vigneault, if he had thought about that, he probably would have cut LeMond off at the pass, but he didn't. And Greg LeMond wins the 1989 Tour de France, and he is an American hero for winning the Tour de France cleanly, may I add. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond, I do.